Welcome to the Simple Minds podcast, where six mates unpack three topics over a new drink each week. Fuck it, just go with that. We'll fix it if it's...
Welcome to Simple Minds, everyone. It's Matt Hannum here, and I get to be your host today in a really weird...
It's not Matt Hannum, it's Magic Matt Hannum.
Magic Matt Hannum and Matt J. Hannum, Matty H. Hannum. Oh,
Matt
have a
Dog.
guess. It's
John?
very biblical. Yeah.
John.
Yeah.
Oh, look at
Also
you.
my dad's name.
My middle name is my dad's name.
Mine too.
Interesting.
My
isn't
middle name is my granddad's name.
it? Did I
middle
also
name
pass
is-
that
Well,
on
that's
to my
just
dad?
my
middle
granddad's
name.
name. So my dad and my grandfather had the same first name.
So,
My dad's middle name is the same as Matt's middle name.
all right. So I'm joined today by, if anyone hasn't picked out all those names, Conrad's clearly here.
G'day, buddy.
Welcome. Jacob.
Hey guys.
JB, flown straight back in from Melbourne after a quick stint just to get back here just for Simple Minds.
That's it. After 3 flights of delayed.
Oh, really?
Went there for the coffee.
Yep.
Huh?
Went there for the coffee.
Yeah, that's it.
I'm
back.
Who are you flying that got delayed, mate? Can we hit him up?
Virgin.
Virgin.
They were good though. They were good.
Take care of Justin.
Not a sponsor.
All right, Mr. Travis Hato,
Hey.
welcome. And Michael,
G'day.
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 So topic today, we're going to head down into Conrad's path, faith and belief. And I won't go any further than that, but let's see where he takes that. But before that, we need to get into a drink. So unfortunately today, our esteemed colleague Justin Bourne is stopping the consumption of alcohol for a month. So I thought, in the start of the month, maybe we should give him a bit of a opportunity not to be swayed in the wrong
Aged
direction.
vanilla.
What is that?
So I went to a boutique beer venue and found some interesting root beer. And we're going
no,
to
you know
give
that.
that
Is
a
that
shot.
like that sarsaparilla?
Yeah, this is just. I mean,
I remember
You go for it.
I'm open to
You're gonna
trying
need
it.
this 'cause you're a Yank now.
If you well, you have to try it. And for those of you that don't enjoy the
I
first few sips,
appreciate the
I do have-
consideration.
I have some genuine beers,
Yeah, I'll have a genuine.
but that's part two.
Part 2. Okay.
I didn't get one of those,
I'll pop them there for now.
but I don't want one if I don't have to have one.
I have to have them.
This is faith. That's belief.
This is shit.
Question, what kind of root is it?
That depends who you're
Side
asking.
one.
Square root.
So, for those of you that think it may or may not be shit, I've actually never
Cheers.
consumed this. JB,
Cheers.
this is for you. And if it's
Thanks,
shit,
mate. I appreciate
that's,
it. I've never had
I don't
a-
drink soft drink.
No, neither do I.
Do we ching
Is
on
it
this?
sugary?
I have
don't
no
want to
idea.
drink stuff that's too sugary.
So it's an A&W root beer.
It's not going to make your hair fall out any faster, buddy.
Aged vanilla.
Enough.
Tastes like Listerine.
Oh, it does.
What is that? Mouthwash.
It's like Dinker. I just rubbed my tongue down.
Oh, wow.
I'm dating an athlete.
Anyone like it or what?
Listerine and Denker together.
How is this even
This is a joke, man. This is a joke, isn't it?
This is fucking terrible.
You know what? The second and third mouthfuls get a little bit better, but the first one was pure.
No, now that I've got Danker up and
I've
Listerine.
never
in my
tried
head.
it before.
My tongue's burning.
And at least I'm warmed up for my...
Well, since
when I brush my teeth.
1919.
Yeah, but we're
We're
not...
going for it. This is going for 100 years.
We're not American, obviously. Our esteemed...
It's from the Dinker route.
Doesn't Gary Vee drink a lot of root beer?
It's very USA.
It's very USA.
It's made
They must not have taste buds, mate.
It's pretty rough, eh?
Oh, well...
For all hate mail, please direct it to at Conrad Francis.
Oh, man, I can't.
A&W, change your fucking recipe, man.
It's made with aged
They've been
vanilla.
around 99 years. Clearly someone likes
I've
it.
never bought a fucking drink. I never will.
I won't buy it again.
I'm having a very American day today.
You are? Freaking root beer.
So
into
for anyone who
varsity
wants to...
That drink ain't going to pull anyone's roots, mate.
if anyone who wants to give their friend a drink and wants them to leave... this is where you go.
Well, you want to play a good prank.
It doesn't even have enough fizz in it to make it
Nah,
entertaining.
Well, it's probably been on the shelf for about 2 years.
Since 1919, I reckon.
All right. Conrad, shall we get into this topic? I mean, it's a big one.
It's thrown me. I mean, it has thrown me because it's disgusting.
The first person who finishes their can of root beer can have a chinky monkey.
That is fucking stupid, mate. No.
There's a West Coast IPA waiting for you.
Faith or belief, what comes first? It's an interesting one. I actually went down this path probably a few months ago just because I had time to ask a stupid question. And started reading some Google, some people's blogs. The consensus was fairly simple, that faith and belief are very much two separate things. And in my research, faith generally came before belief. It was fairly well articulated. And this is probably an article that was the most succinct in the way it explained it. It describes belief as being a product of the mind. A victim mind is already disadvantaged, but even a healthy and able mind runs into trouble. Whereas they say that, where are we? Belief, faith, where are you? Faith. I say succinct. Where was it?
Ever heard of a highlighter?
Faith is... Shut up. I did. I gave my highlighted version away to another person.
His highlighter ran out 12 years
I
ago.
gave my highlighter away to another person. Okay, so here we go. Faith is conceptual until it's put into play. It is best achieved through commitment. To commit to faith is not the same as committing to a set of beliefs. In the throes of a crisis, it is impossible to know what the unknowable God and or universe is really asking of us. But in the void of not knowing, we may ask, is it God who at all asks this of me, or circumstance? The answer of faith, it doesn't matter. So when we talk about philosophy, and we talk about a lot of things that the Stoics believe in, at the end of the time, and I think Marco was very big on this, whatever we do, the outcome of it, at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter. That's why the destination tends to be a bit of a furphy. The journey is why you're doing it. What are you committing to? And that aligns to your faith. Belief, they say, through what I've learnt this year, is more around what you learn, whereas faith is what you have to trust. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So do you think you learn belief? I mean, how does that...
I think belief's more internal.
So faith is along the spiritual line, beliefs along the ego line, which is learned. You learn your beliefs. I believe in. You choose your beliefs. And your beliefs tend to limit you. That's why they're called limiting beliefs. Whereas faith tends to inspire and drag you forward.
And faith is more universal, isn't it? It's more out there, more external than it is internal.
Yeah, because faith is believing in something that doesn't exist in general.
Yeah.
So that's why faith is generally aligned to vision, whereas belief is generally aligned to ego. One holds you back, one propels you forward. Now, I guess I learnt about faith through my religious teachings, and I still didn't understand it growing up until obviously recent times when I started questioning beliefs and religion. My question to you guys is how in your, because any of you guys practicing at the moment, apart from Matt, you go to church at all?
I do.
Without religion, how do you learn faith? Or the concept of faith? How do you learn it? And therefore, how do you teach it?
How do you learn faith?
Yeah.
Well, faith is having trust in something that you don't know, or is unknown, or doesn't exist. So
Well, the sentence here, knowing does not create faith, unknowing does.
yeah. So by pursuing pursuing a business and taking that decision, you're having faith that it'll be successful.
Sure.
So you don't believe. I mean, you can try to believe, but that's still faith, isn't it?
Why?
Like that'll be successful.
Why do you need faith? Do you actually need it?
Well, building a business, if you want to bring it back to business, building a business is, generally having a vision of something that doesn't already exist.
You have to have faith to be able to pull you through in terms of that context. In my instinct goes yes.
Yeah.
You need faith.
Yeah.
Because without the faith, there's no. It comes back to all kind of like, and to to be able to pursue through the actions. Because if you have no faith that it's achievable or that you could get there or that it's going to happen, then why bother? Why not go, I mean, that's where I start to go with it.
Faith is a lot more powerful. Like belief, like I wrote a couple of sentences here to give myself something to kind of try and distinguish between the two. And I've written, I believe I am a good person versus I have faith I'm a good person. I think one, like the belief is a definition I've got here, an acceptance that something exists or is true, especially one without proof. So you're just simply accepting that something is. So if I believe I'm a good person, I guess it's an opinion. It's not very strong. It's just simply something I've made a connection to. Whereas I have faith that I'm a good person is a lot deeper. It's kind of, it's hard to put words around the difference, but I guess it feels like there's something more there.
Well, the dictionary meaning of faith is complete trust or confidence in someone or something.
Yeah.
And that's where you're going, Conrad, in a lot of ways with the sort of the higher power or however. I mean, there's different gods and I see them all much the same. I mean, everyone has their own choice of what they believe. But for me, the belief is the more, like, I have a lot of beliefs around, say, the business that I'm growing and what I'm doing. But the faith is not, the faith is that I will always be on the journey will present itself. Like, my belief might be incorrect, but it's, or not where I'm going, but it's part of the journey to get towards where I am, who I'm going to be. I guess I have that underlying faith that it will all work itself out, or it's all there and I will fulfill whatever my purpose is, whether I know that, I guess, academically or not, or whether I'm aware of that consciously or not. Like, I might spend my whole life believing that I was here to build a business and impact thousands or millions of people and help them change their mindset. And I could do that for 75 years. And 2 days before my life's over, I might have a conversation with one person about something totally different, and that might change the course or direction of everything else. And that might have been the true purpose of what I was here to do.
Let me finish the paragraph that I was just reading because it touches on things we've talked on before. You don't know now, and you may never know. To not know, in the context of faith, is to remain humble and teachable. To toss away the conflicting and unusable beliefs of the mind is to free the human chatter and hubris and a step closer to the divine. Where faith does not fill the cracks fear will. Faith is an attitude of acceptance of not knowing. So it talks about humility, it talks about being teachable, talks about fear, talks about acceptance.
So is fear the opposite of faith then? Do you think, how would you define the opposite of faith? Because faith's a very positive thing, isn't it? It's just like sort of letting the universe, like just having...
I guess in the context of what this is written, where faith does not fill the cracks fear will, then there is that opposite.
Despair,
I definitely
maybe.
feel that. I was going to lead into that, but certainly in business and whenever I'm questioning what I'm doing, whenever I stop back and reconsider and just and ponder on the faith that I have, it allows me to go back and do what I do with far less stress, because I do naturally fall into fear, and I think we all fear different things, and I notice that.
I fear bats.
You fear bats. You fear Batman. I notice that, and at a practical level, I can, if I return myself and my thinking and my mindset to no, I have faith. Whatever's in front of me is supposed to be there. If it's a challenge I'm to overcome, or I'll see something else, or whatever that situation is, it's there for a reason. And I find when I do that, it mitigates or reduces and dramatically stress.
How was because you went through sort of bouts of depression, didn't you, in your 20s?
Yep.
And that is where faith is missing, I suppose. So you've got a real feeling that it's not going to get better, you know. Is that how you felt when you were in that space?
I wouldn't brand myself with significant depression. I had elements of depression, but I had some pretty serious anxiety disorders. Had a lot of panic attacks, and sometimes several a day. Sometimes they'd last hours on end, like different versions of what that looked like, and my body was not in great shape. Ironically, from what I know about a lot of other people, is they often get to a point where they feel very, very vulnerable, very hopeless, and feel like that life is better without them. My situation was always very different. I actually always had faith. Despite a couple of years of being at a point where I could only work 10 or 12, fit, active, 25-year-old male, always been strong, always played sports, always had everything, to all of a sudden be incredibly sick, able to only work 10 to 12 hours a week. I would drive to the office, park my car, walk into my desk and spend the next 30 or 40 minutes trying to recover to be able to get on the computer and start doing my work. I was in that kind of energy state. But I never actually felt like it was going to end. I always thought that, and I don't think that's necessarily common. I think that's not how a lot of people feel. But for me, I always had a belief that there was another side of this. And
Yeah,
so
faith isn't connected then to your physical then, because it was obviously the physical that was what was bringing you down, I suppose. Whereas the faith was always there.
It's a physical and mental spiral, and certainly that's what happened. But I always had a deep, a belief, but also a faith that it would improve, and it did.
The opposite to faith, I would say, would be doubt. Because if faith is 100% confident in something or someone, then doubt is obviously not having confidence in something or someone.
So why do we call it self-belief versus self-faith?
Just doesn't sound right.
One thing I've been thinking of is that faith has a very future connotation to it. It's all about, I have faith that things will turn out well. I have faith. Whereas for me, belief is it's sort of like a present state thing, in that what you believe now is just a snapshot of this moment, whereas faith is sort of an enduring sort of thing. And I guess doubt hesitation on how the future's going to unravel, whereas if you've got faith in something, it's not just the present, it's sort of, I don't know.
Let's remove the context of God when we talk about this, though, right? Because obviously that throws a lot of people.
That's the issue for me. I have no association.
I'll reframe it for you.
Yeah.
And for anybody else that has a problem with using God as a title. Let's talk about higher consciousness.
The unknown.
All right. So we have three conscious states. All right. So your highest consciousness. Because what I understand about creation and creating is that all creation comes from your higher state of consciousness. Now, you're Travis, you're a a photographer, right? You work with art and colour and all of that stuff. You create shit. You create some pretty good photos out of some
That
pretty
is a
shit
shocking representation of what Trav does.
Well, whatever he does, mate. Whatever you do. He points and takes a fucking photo,
graphic
mate.
designer that deals with art. So, flip it. I'm a photographer.
It's creation.
That
You take
works with
photos,
wine.
right? You work with colours and shit and people, all right?
Light.
Same shit. It's creative, yes?
Correct.
Okay. Now,
Do you want to highlight?
so when you're working in your creative space, they say you are connected to your highest consciousness, to your genius side of your brain. Okay? And that's where all creation happens. It just happens to be godlike because it's creation. Okay? Which is why they say creation and vision and futuristic theories, like you're saying, faith is something over here, something that you're aiming for that you haven't attained yet. You have that guidance system. That, to me, and this is why I really wanted to get to this point, is because our faith drives us forward. Yeah? Our known beliefs hold us back.
Can beliefs also support the faith, though? If the beliefs are correct.
Beliefs by nature are limiting.
Okay. All beliefs.
So what about self-belief how's that it comes back to that thing about self-faith? You're always told to have,
So I've never used the word self-belief. I've always used the word self-love.
Yeah, but believing in yourself that you're capable, that you're doing it, you still believe.
But if you love yourself, have you not done the same thing?
Sorry?
If you have self-love, do you not have the same feeling?
Well, it's not self-love, just loving for who you are and accepting. So it's not necessarily believing that you're capable of doing X, Y, or Z. So you reference that as faith?
I would.
rather than belief? Like, what's the blur between?
So the work I've done on myself, all beliefs are limiting by nature. So they limit you in some way, shape, or form because it's learned.
Yeah, it's been built up through your surroundings.
So when you're born,
So having, say, self-belief, then on, I'm going to go back to the business thing, that you'll build a certain business that you
I have
believe
faith that I will build.
that you're capable. By
I know
just
I am
defining that belief, you're setting yourself up as limiting as it is. That's kind of what you're, I guess,
Yeah.
okay.
And as a child, if you can imagine when you're born as a baby, you have no beliefs. You really have no beliefs. Okay, but nor are you less happier. You're probably more happier. Okay, there's probably a very high element of attachment to faith that someone's going to take care of you.
Yeah, there's a sense of unknown about faith, whereas beliefs are very fixed and very kind of like tangible. I'll give you an example, is that I don't believe that there's an afterlife. I don't believe that we have any existence beyond this physical existence we have at the moment. However, I have faith that I'll meet my father again at some point. The beliefs and my understanding of science and all these other things, I guess, aren't able to come to terms with, and also to a degree limit my, I guess, the faith is just that will happen. One day this event will transpire, but the beliefs serve to limit that because I'm trying to make sense of it. And because I can't, the beliefs, I guess, are limiting to a
And that's
degree.
what people used religion for. Yeah? I mean, they used it as a system to give you rules or your beliefs. This is what you should follow. And faith was like God. But then that was starting to break down, wasn't it? Sort of.
Okay, I mean, without going into it too deeply, religion is just a business, right? Full stop. Religion is just a damn business. Okay, spirituality is probably the space you want to speak about. The construct of religion, rules, falls. It was just a system to drive and control people.
No, definitely. That's what I'm talking about.
Through storytelling.
Yeah, so that's fine. But the essence of it all comes. This is why when I've read the books I've read and studied the constructive religions I've studied, it all points in the same direction. It talks to your three states of subconscious, your consciousness. Highest conscious, your awakened state, and your subconscious. That's what it was all a representation of. So, faith is this, belief is this. This is your ego. Ego is your subconscious state. All right, your awakened state, which we've talked about. We've talked about it with the cave. Your awakened state gives you the opportunity to choose one way or the other. Choose your beliefs or choose your faith. What do you want to be guided by?
You can believe that is a bird going.
You can
past,
believe
or it's-
anything you want. We're told that colour on that TV is orange. You can believe it to be fucking black if you want.
It's orange.
You can change your beliefs.
You can believe, whatever, yeah.
All right? But having faith is in creation. It's looking to create.
So you think belief is a weakness then? A human weakness?
It's a construct. It's a human construct.
Because, the atrocities of the 1900s, 20th century were due to people's beliefs being manipulated.
Yeah.
So it is a powerful construct.
Of course it is. But again, it's centuries of construction. Thousands of years.
Yeah, I mean, we used to think the world was flat.
Some
as a human
people
race.
still-
Some
still
people still
think it
do.
is.
So where are you going with this, though? So how?
Well, I think it's pretty powerful for everybody, particularly you guys in this room. I mean, is to try and comprehend faith. Yeah, I'm a massive believer that we program ourselves, right? We're self-programming fucking idiots at times from the stuff we consume, how we speak, what we use, the words we use, and how we choose to use them in the way we use them. Faith and belief, to me, are misused and misrepresented. Okay? Everyone in this room's got a business. Okay? I don't think it's good enough, and I'll say it. I don't think it's good enough just because faith has been associated to God that we disassociate ourselves from using the word.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, faith to me does have a religious connection.
Because you've allowed it to. You believe it to be that way.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's through my beliefs and
Mate, I go to church.
Yeah.
Right? Faith was introduced me through church. But to me, like I just
But
said...
faith is a word, yeah.
It's a word,
It
but
is
what does it
just a
represent?
word.
But what does it represent? So to Travis...
It represents what it is, yeah.
No. It represents what you let it represent.
Yeah.
Okay? So Travis allowed it to represent to him God, and that's why he disassociated from the word.
Still doesn't mean he doesn't have that feeling of faith, whatever that
Well, what
word
is it then?
would be.
If
I
you-
don't
if you-
know.
Exactly. So if you can't name it, label it, or acknowledge it,
Do you need to?
yeah?
Why?
Why? Because if you can't stop and smell the roses, are you actually smelling the roses? No, you're not.
I think people have different ways of doing it.
So give me another way.
Well, what I'm going down is not just calling it faith, and faith is this one thing, and you can either go down the religious path of saying faith is...
Well, we had Sam Cawthorn on, and his episode just got released, and I circulated with you guys again what he talked about the word decide and how and what it was made up of. All right, and when he went through that, it made sense, right? To decide, to cut off, to make a decision, to be decisive. Right? Words are fucking powerful. So yeah, you do have to give it a name, and yeah, you should use it the way it was intended to be used. Okay, but language is also the most modern way of communication. Okay, it doesn't make it right, but it is what it is. All right, I came back to this because of stuff that's going on in my business at the moment. A lot of stuff I don't know. I have to have faith. I'm being guided by my highest intuition right now.
Intuition, that's a good word for faith.
Okay, so I'm being guided because I don't know. I don't know if what I'm doing is right or wrong. Okay, and I circulated something during the week to you guys that William posted, and I shared with one of my colleagues, Jess Tucker, just recently. And it's kind of funny because the last paragraph of what I shared with you guys is kind of interesting. Creativity is by definition the ability to make connections between things that aren't usually made. Fair enough, Trav?
Yeah.
That's what you spend your life doing.
Yep.
An inspired level of consciousness is only possible when we are prepared to die to our current knowing and understanding. Vulnerability, not unassailable certainty, is the mother of wisdom. As a wise man called Gandhi once said, I am dedicated to the truth, not consistency. And I joined the dots yesterday with Jess that being vulnerable was she was having to choose between two different things. And I said to her, what scares you the most? That's the path you have to go down. And that allowed her to... So if she chose that biggest path, the other fear fucking disappeared. But to choose this path, she had to open herself up to being vulnerable by being able to be judged by her colleagues. So to consume fear, exposure to vulnerability. And that was the right fucking path. And she figured it out because that's the path we followed. All right, so words are powerful if we use them in the right way.
So that means then faith is the leading factor, and then you have to follow in through with belief, though. So how does that...
No, faith is the factor. Action follows through.
Yeah,
Take steps towards.
but if you're taking action in
Yeah.
that, say, instance, you're not then having a belief in yourself that... I guess that loops back to faith. I mean, there's a very potentially fine line, which I guess is what you're trying to get to between the two words and the context that they're used.
Well, like I said, in that article, I think the biggest point here is belief is a product of the mind. A victim mind is already disadvantaged. So belief is a product of a victim mindset. Not the victor, the victim. So if you're going to rely on beliefs, you're in the victim mindset.
Even if you that self-talk, which is kind of coming back to that self-belief. I'm kind of stuck on that a little bit.
Yep.
Is that still victim mindset?
Well, going by this article and the stuff I've read, this is the most concise way of articulating
Yeah,
that.
because let's say, in that instance, you have to go through the fear and you have to, that the obstacle is the way, right? Going through the uncomfort. There's an element of faith there of not knowing what the outcome is or what the consequences are. But in order to start the initial inertia and take the initial action, do you not have to have at least belief in yourself, or are you just going to loop that back to self-love?
Self-love.
Do you know what I mean? Because like that initial moment to be like, you know what, I'm going to push through the fear. I mean, to me, like there's a lot of like, you know, that, self-talk.
Yep.
Because I don't know, I don't believe in God per se. I believe in something. I believe in energy, and I guess it probably become more spiritual of late. I've always kind of believed that we are our own gods rather than referencing a higher kind of individual and looking.
Well, just to stop you there, just to agree with you. This is why I guess I wanted to play with that YouTube video to try and connect us to our own energy, right? Because I agree with you, and the power of that belief process would have shown itself out in that YouTube.
Yeah, through like.
Well, this is interesting. You've just said the power of that belief, right? So belief is a powerful factor as well.
Sure, I'm not denying the word exists.
Yeah, but you pretty much. I thought your argument was that belief was a limiting factor.
And that's where I'm kind of like on that self-belief thread a little
We
bit.
all have beliefs. We can't help it. We're humans and have been brought up in an
But
environment.
belief is a construct of what you've been given.
So
Of course
I
it is,
think
but-
there's a mixture. Like if I jump back into JB, I think there's a mixture of well, you're talking about embarking on some new action, I guess, around a decision, like which is where you're like, I've got this self-belief. I think there's a mixture there of A, faith, and B, you have some belief because in the past you've tackled obstacles and things that you haven't known the answer first. So you've got this confidence and belief that you'll be able to solve whatever comes up in front of you, but you also have
Well,
a faith.
confidence comes from action, right? So
But you
took
also
action.
have a faith component that goes with it. So I think what you're talking about is actually a mixture of both.
I think you need
Yeah,
to.
well,
You need
according
to.
to Jacob's cheat sheet here, I mean, it's actually just self-faith.
What's the source?
The source, I don't know, Jacob. The
It's
moth,
so-
moth the
so-
prof. It's from the prof. But there's first, complete trust or confidence in something, which is really then faith. You have faith within yourself. There is a line in that article, though, which is a little bit more, I guess, where you're referencing to a little bit of like trust the journey, where it references faith to be more a. So what does it say here? I'm going to lose it. I'm going to do what you did. I need a highlighter. Throw me a highlighter. Real faith is not a statement of beliefs, but a state of being. It is living life mid-air, standing commando on a tightrope 50 stories up with no preconception of the outcome.
Yep.
It is trusting beyond all reason and evidence that you have not been abandoned. Which I guess is kind of, I guess it's more of a faith thing rather than a belief.
But maybe beliefs are something that we just need to question all the time, at all times.
They're always
Well,
being challenged.
Exactly.
Well, that's where. Would you agree with faith is an irrational belief that can't be challenged and
Can't be
can't be
explained,
measured, can't be
necessarily.
explained, and that, but a belief can
Something
be
that can be, yeah.
be challenged and can be beaten.
That's fair.
Because like you think you take it down the religious route, and a lot of people have faith that God's real, and that so it's irrational. No one can technically prove it right or wrong. But a belief. I believe I can fly. Well, that can be tested.
Yeah.
Especially if you're naked on a tightrope on the top of a building.
I mean, this whole God thing, right, is an interesting piece. But
God's more a belief to me.
hey,
God is more of a belief than a faith to me. It is something that I question.
the
Like-
Church of Michael.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, beliefs.
I think we're
tend
getting
be-
to a really good point here, though, is that beliefs are something you should question all the
It's
time.
because they're constructed.
That's- yeah.
You can challenge them.
Yeah, exactly. But they are still there. We all have them.
But what's going to guide you in business? What's going to guide you?
Learning.
towards- Really?
Well, I think it's humility. Like even within this conversation, our beliefs are all being challenged, and the ego is strong in trying to resist disagreements between those beliefs. Because I was in a tug of war of a conversation, as before we started this, which I was explaining, where I believe something to be true, and then the other individual through this conversation would not accept that belief. There was a lot of fact and source and everything else, and it's like, no, you don't. No, that's not true. I believe this, and it's like, but how? And then you end up getting worked up, and then I could sense my my ego, which is wanting to be right, and my nature in the past has always been right. I don't let certain arguments down, and I've always researched, and I always want to be right, even if it's challenging if I'm so confident that that's right, I will not let it drop in the past. And we were having this kind of battle between these things, and really we were both right in some regards if you just stripped it all the way back to faith. If we both have faith in whatever it was, then it would have, I guess it's that humility piece, which is references the faith. There seems to be a lot more humility and openness in faith than there is in belief.
So faith can't be challenged, beliefs can be challenged.
Well, where does love come from? Is it a belief or...
It's more closely related to faith,
Faith.
I think. Yeah. It's that higher level. Whereas, I think the ego controls the belief system quite heavily. But I think we need to question it. And we do all that.
So this is where self-love comes from, right? It's more connected to faith than what it is belief.
Beliefs
that's
are what
really
we use to
interesting.
make sense of faith, I think.
Man, what a wormhole. Oh, to be honest, like,
Just have your root beer, all
The
right?
wormhole is actually interesting because where you were to where you are now, you're actually a lot more accepting of faith than where you were at the start.
absolutely, because like sitting here kind of just reflecting in this last 20 minutes, I've never actually thought about belief or faith because I've always associated it with a religion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so-
can I throw something open here? Is the stuff you're talking about Tuesday night known fact here?
I can't even remember.
Yes.
No, it's not.
It's not.
No, it's not. So can we
Okay.
not talk about that?
Sure.
Thank you.
But there's a lot of faith. There's a lot of faith even in that situation.
All right, just move on.
I think there was more than faith involved.
Who's faith?
Because there's stuff you can't prove or disprove, right? But yet, will we be successful in business? We would like to think we are. We have a faith that we're working towards.
What about science then?
What about science? That's a belief. You can prove it or disprove
I
it.
think there's certain things in science.
Science is like 2D, and there is clearly a 3D.
But how does being faithful in science benefit you?
Oh, not faith. I'm just saying
Like-
science. There are facts I mean, if we want to talk about facts now, belief facts.
As you raise a good point, because the conversation I was having where there was disagreement was around going very heavy into the law of attraction, which is a lot of faith that if you think a certain way, that it'll happen for you. The higher conscious, if you program or put these thoughts into your higher conscious, that eventually it'll show up. Regardless of like not taking certain action. And I guess there's almost this kind of maybe going too far into maybe faith.
You have to
well.
take action. You have to take action, right? I mean,
Like spending
Based on what, though?
Because with science,
if you have this law of attraction game and just sit there and think, well, I'm going to attract every opportunity without doing anything, that's just fucking stupidity.
Yeah.
because there are facts of I guess science, and like people will be like, our reality, which goes a little bit of that simulation, is constructed. But at the end of the day, like that is in front of us. We can all see it. It is what it is. Like, so what's the point in trying to go?
Well, that sort of goes to your orange, and you can call that whatever. That can be.
Of course you can.
yeah.
It talks about in the first paragraph, beliefs, however broad or deep, they're educated, and they can be flexible.
But I guess this comes back
Have to be
to like
flexible.
even the flying. Like there was a belief that humans couldn't fly, and you got to challenge those. And the science then started to,
Yeah. And they've talked about the 4-minute mile before.
Yeah.
Nobody could ever do it before until somebody
which
did.
I guess
And
reinforces or supports Conrad's claim that beliefs are always limiting.
Yeah.
Until you have faith and question an alternative. But I think if you go too far, it can maybe be not serving. It can be disserving as well.
Well, that's where the action towards our purpose sort of lies, because we have to have faith, but then we use the best version of what we believe what our belief is, and we take action on that. And that will keep course correcting. But we have faith that we'll always continue to take action. But like going back to the law of attraction, I think you deep down ask any person that just thinks they can sit there and it'll be manifested. They know that's not the case. They're just hoping it will be. But the truth is, I think you'll just keep elevating those beliefs as you keep taking more action. Because if you don't take action, you don't know whether that will serve you or not. But if you do take the action, then you have that answer as a scientific answer, and then you can keep moving forward. But without taking action, you won't uncover and break through those beliefs and situations. But you're right; they'll always have some form of ceiling, like a belief, and you'll always have some form of ceiling of what you believe you're capable of as well, until you do the next thing, and then the next thing, and your faith is the only thing that will drive you through.
So self-belief is actually will always be limiting, because you don't actually know what you're fully capable of anyway, and you've got to have faith that that you'll work it out anyhow.
But is it important to have these beliefs then, the belief that you can take the shot in basketball and then...
Well, would that not be faith?
No, but then question it. So your beliefs are always...
Let's go to what Jacob's got there. I like what he's got written down. It might make it a little bit more succinct.
Yeah, well, there's this article I was reading, and they sort of made a bit of an equation or a formula around faith. This has got faith equals belief times action times confidence, where they've defined confidence as a measure of how firmly we hold on to a belief. So if you've got... I'll use Michael's example before of, say, the 4-minute mile, is that there were plenty of people who had faith that it was possible, but until there was a belief that it was achievable, multiplied by action in that, like, people actually pursued it, and then the confidence is a measure of how firmly we hold on to a belief. If you truly believe that it's possible and you take action towards it, that's how you, I guess, can achieve that.
So you're believing in the future.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see how that works. You can take the same principle for the Wright brothers and when they learn to fly.
Like, I think it was Roger Bannister. He had faith that he'd be able to achieve it, and he believed in himself strongly enough that I'm going to be able to run a 4-minute mile, and he took action to achieve it.
And he had the confidence.
So he believed in the unknown.
But once he
I think
did it,
that's the key, right?
Once he
Faith is
achieved it,
unknowing.
Faith is a little bit more fluffy. So it's like your mission, but your vision, if you turn it back into a business sense, like your mission's a little bit more fluffy, your vision is a little bit more decisive. Same with faith and belief.
Yeah,
Faith's a little bit more
connected
fluffy.
to the unknown.
Correct.
Not connected to the known. Does that make sense? Because I think when you were talking earlier about belief being able to be challenged to prove yes or right, wrong or right, that level of belief is what holds you back.
So
it's the belief that's attached to, I think this is the line where we were going earlier, and I think you touched on, the belief that's connected to the unknowing is where it gets a bit muddled with faith.
Yeah. So a lot of I guess, let's then go beliefs will hold you back.
Thanks, Justin.
How do you start to unravel, because it's not natural, like, Mike, to ask questions around these beliefs. It's not natural, I guess, for people to do this, and it's something that, as a process. What is something, or through some of the work that you've done, Conrad, as well, how do you start to unravel these limiting beliefs? And if anyone's ever done like coaching, like Tony Robbins and or any other kind of traditional coaching out there, the first thing is around, or what they sell is like, we've got to unwind those limiting beliefs and kind of start from the bottom up.
it's usually daddy issues.
Yeah, or family issues.
Both daddy and mummy issues.
Yeah.
How do we use faith and belief to make you grow and become better at what you want to do?
Yeah.
Is that sort of what you were trying
Yeah.
to say? Something?
Like, all right, cool. We acknowledge, I think we've gotten close to somewhat agreeing of what maybe belief and faith is. But how do you unwind? How do you, to me, I think where you said it very well, and it, Mike, is that the belief and ego are so intertwined. They seem really close together, and faith and love seem like they're really close together. So how do you overcome or start to strip away or challenge those limiting beliefs to pursue and excel in your personal life, business life, everything, going really like, maybe Robbins now, but to live your best life? How do you actually do that?
I think the first step is just to accept that beliefs are not finite, that they can be challenged, that
Or should be challenged.
they should be challenged. Yeah, like there's a piece that you put up the other day, Conrad, that said that the more strongly you hold on to beliefs and don't question things, the more it kind of holds you back. Whereas if you're open to questioning things, if you're open to challenging your beliefs, that's when that creativity comes. That's when, like, a lot of the biggest milestones in history have come where people have come to something with a fresh mindset rather than all these attached beliefs about once upon a time we thought the earth was flat. Once upon a time they thought the sun revolved around the earth.
So real progress has only ever come from faith.
Yeah. Yeah, it's in the direction of the unknown.
It's letting go of beliefs. Like, faith is more enduring. People have faith that the world makes sense. They have faith that
But is it?
there's order.
Do you, when you challenge a belief, say the world is flat, and then they worked out by measuring the sun and the angles and all that sort of stuff, was that a new belief then? Or was it something different? Like,
beliefs
if you
are-
challenge a belief, does it become a different belief?
I feel beliefs are evolving.
Yeah,
Like,
so it's always evolved. Yeah,
whereas faith
okay.
is, I guess,
solid, is universal.
kind of more
It's just
enduring. Yeah.
So no one's still entertained my question.
Sorry, buddy.
How do we
I've
make
got,
it?
I've got a list of beliefs here. There's 12.
Okay.
So the beliefs that I've worked through.
So these are your, or used
these
to
are
be your
the
beliefs?
No, these are
Or-
the beliefs that people attach to, right? Where they come from mother or father, the origin of the beliefs. The belief that you're unworthy, which is the most prevalent within humans, and that's from your mother. Now, underneath that is the seeking. So what is that person seeking? They're seeking referential love and approval. There are strategies which you will see in how that belief shows up. The belief that I'm not good enough, that's generally from the father, fairly common. Seeking wholeness. The belief that I don't belong, which is fairly common. Seeking identity, who am I? Another one from the mother. I need to control myself, which is fairly common. It's non-specific mother or father, but it's more an orientation thing, a sanity scenario. The belief I can trust myself, others or the world, very common. Origin generally from the father, whereas the person's generally seeking viability, a sense of future, survival, safety, avoidance of safety, and avoidance of violation. The belief I am insignificant or invisible, a variation of the strategy of trust, seeking viability, sense of future, survival, safety, avoidance of violation, again from the father, usually around detachment from father figures. I don't have the capacity, again, which comes from the father, seeking to scope how big is the game, the belief that there is a right way, predictability, one-way bargain, belief that there is a way things are, the world is, where the person is seeking certainty, knowledge, a certainty of how to operate the owner's manual to life. The belief that I am powerless, which is very common, seeking outward and external results, symbols of power. And the last two, the belief that I'm not allowed to be capable, again from the mother, more often displayed within daughters, seeking freedom to do or have what one really wants. And the belief I need to be perfect, which is seeking peace, relief, and resolution.
Okay. So for each of these 12, if you flip each of these around, so what was the first one?
Can you just reference those as well, please?
Sure. It's from a book that's got copyright, but we can do that.
What was the first?
I can do that. I can do that.
That's what I mean.
I'll do that. It's no
I think
drama.
we need to say, well, it's copyright, but that's
It's okay,
someone's
we can do
ideas. I think we should just say where it's come from. Yeah.
What was the first?
I just said I'd do it.
What was the first belief, Conrad?
I believe that Conrad is Batman.
That you're unworthy.
No. The belief that I am unworthy.
Okay, so if we say, I believe that I am worthy,
Yep.
is it still a belief, or does that belief disappear and become more faith-driven? Like, so each belief can have a opposite.
It's the anchoring of this belief and the behaviour that this belief limits you to. It's not necessarily the belief exists. It's not changing the belief. Okay, you can only be aware of how the belief affects you.
Yeah.
Okay, because your belief is coded generally between the ages of 0 and 8 years of age. You can't change your beliefs. You can only be aware of how they limit you, and then try to numb them.
Surely you can still use them to, like, I am worthy. Self-talk, self-love. I am worthy. That is a belief. I believe that I am worthy. That would work, yeah, for people.
What if we change the language to I have faith that I'm worthy?
Oh.
Is it any different?
But if you don't unpack it first and reflect on it, if you're just telling yourself that.
But that's what people do, don't they, with
So-
these
so
positive
stay-
affirmations and stuff like that? They just say, I am.
But you're talking affirmations about building neural pathways.
It's kind of like fake it till you make it affirmations.
As far as I'm aware, and what I'm working with, is that you cannot change your beliefs. You can be aware of how they are impacting your life.
Those core beliefs.
Yes, those core beliefs.
And to bring it back to what Justin was saying before, like the tangible way to make sense of it in the context of like trying to grow, for example, is just if we, and like Michael and I began to touch on it, is if you accept that beliefs are limiting and then you go down the path of always questioning them, that's when it can lead to growth, is kind of knowing that these are the things that I've attached to, these are the, until you start to question that the earth is flat or that the things that you've always accepted as beliefs, once you start to question those things, you can grow and go to the next level. So,
but look at the various ages that we are, right? So these core beliefs have been around since 0 to 8 years of age. To just flip a word, you're not going to be able to trick yourself.
So if you can't trick yourself, what actions do you need to take? Because the first one, which is what, sense of unworthiness, like that was a big one that I've had to work through and still work through. And I did that through the assistance of, actually doing some, coaching and then mentorship as well. Is it possible to work through these on a solo level?
Of course there is. I mean, and
or
Jacob,
do you need to seek that kind of? How do you go about doing that? If affirmation just every day, writing in a journal, going, "I am worthy, I am worthy, I am worthy," is not really the solution. What do you do?
Exactly what Jacob said. First, you've got to accept that you have this belief, okay, and it is part of you, right? You've got to accept it. And it's actually funny because I keep referring back to the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. The first step is accepting that you're an alcoholic. The second, third, and fourth steps all talk about the divine, okay, your highest conscious state, which connects you back to faith. So, if you want my take on how you fix this, and what I'm learning with and working with at the moment, I look at this coming to the acceptance of who I am, why I am that way, and then going through and building the faith mechanism to take me forward out towards what I want to be.
Yeah, and if you build it out the way Michael was saying before, if you flip it from I am unworthy to I am worthy, and then you apply action to it, like this statement says, faith equals belief times action times confidence. So you have a belief that starts with I am worthy, you follow that through with action that constantly reinforces the fact that I am worthy, and then you times it by that confidence is the measure of how firmly we hold onto the belief. The more you take action that aligns with that belief, and the more you start to see events and...
Which is all equal to faith.
Yeah, that's it. Faith is just, once beliefs have been ingrained deeply enough through enough action and...
But not too ingrained. Still question them.
Yeah. And followed through with the confidence. Like, confidence comes from consistent action as well.
I think it's pretty cool, that formula, mate.
Yeah.
So have you
So
seen
can
the
we
last
reference that? Can we reference that formula?
We can. We'll put a copy of it in the blog.
All right, that's pretty cool.
We'll get T-shirts done.
I'll find a source, but for now.
Have we got
What's
any
the
time left?
We've got time.
Have we?
Yeah.
What do you want to say?
We've always
Conrad?
got time, mate. It's in your mind.
Game's not till 8 o'clock.
So what? Okay, Conrad. What beliefs have you had that, or you've been working through in the last, say, month that you know are, well, out of the 12 beliefs, ones you've really been fighting with and trying to work through?
I haven't been working with these beliefs. To me, that's.
Have you got special beliefs that everybody else doesn't?
These are.
13th one.
The 13th belief.
I haven't
as
been
if
specifically
closer.
working with these beliefs. I've been working with the fact of losing control of a business.
Okay, but there must be linked beliefs in
Sure.
there?
So
That's belief number 4.
that comes back down to. Have you written it down?
Yeah.
Is that control? Is that the control one?
Something about control oneself.
I need to control myself. No, it's not myself. I lose control of the business.
Oh.
So yeah, you could probably argue that
It's
not really
about
passionate.
control of yourself. Yeah.
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 You could
Number
probably
10
argue
is
that.
I'm powerless.
That's the one. If you want, I think that's where you go to. And I was actually challenged on this by a few people this week as to what does it look like. And to me, where I'm okay with it is that I actually don't lose control. I gain influence.
That's, you're in a constant state of kind of learning from.
Yeah, so me at
From
my
the
worst
situation.
state, so what my Enneagram keeps teaching me at my worst is in control and very damaging towards situations. Whereas me at my best is more influential and not in a state of control.
So where are you? Are you more leaning towards the first just now?
Right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a hate human mode right now.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. How are you addressing that? Yeah.
Oh, shit, yeah.
How are you addressing that then? Like from a
Try not to be around
practical
humans.
point of view, not hanging with humans. Yeah. Okay.
But to have your greatest impact, you have to be in control of yourself. When you're in your best self, that's when you have the greatest impact. That's when you're the best
Sure.
leader.
It's funny, mate, because I always talk about growth, and I'm clearly in a state of growth at the moment. I'm in a massive state of growth, going through different things, and I'm at the point where I'm reflecting on where I spend my time, who I hang out with, the conversations I'm having, the shit that I'm doing with people. Like, just
Do you
the
need a
energy I'm
Wilson?
talking. Hey,
Do you need a Wilson?
a what?
Wilson.
Who's fucking Wilson?
A little
Volleyball.
No, I'm not Spalding.
Sports.
But,
It's not as good a name.
it is one of those things, and I've said this to, was it you the other night? You've got to break the shell to change the feathers to fly, and you've got to crack the fucking the shell of a lobster to grow into. I am in a state of change at the moment, right? And I'm okay with that. It's just that a lot of people around me aren't okay with that.
Are you going to be a butterfly next week, Conrad?
And I'm dealing with, am I okay with people not being
Oh,
okay
there's
with
a
me?
meme in that.
Because they're not growing. They're not growing at the same rate you are.
No,
and
exactly
therefore
right.
That division is being stretched.
So how do you? I mean,
So this is why I come back to faith. I'm connected to my faith. I'm being guided by my highest consciousness, and I'm following that path I'm being guided towards. But it's creating a chasm.
is there chaos behind you just now?
There's always chaos behind me, but there's probably more.
But is that how? Yeah, it's interesting because we've felt it as well.
Yeah.
Like the
Tsunami.
Been in like the wake behind the boat.
Yeah, so it is what it is, right? For me, I know what's going on.
do you?
I do know what's going on, and it's happened several times in my life. I know exactly what's going on, and I'm caught between do you slow down or do you keep pushing forward? And my commitment to myself challenges me to keep pushing forward.
Your faith.
Yeah. And ever since my dad passed away, I've only really operated in that faith space.
What about the serving part to other people?
I've got to take care of me.
And yeah, okay. But what about the serving part, the empathy, the service to people around?
Sure.
The
Yeah,
forgiveness.
Forgiveness.
Yeah, yeah, right. I mean, I can do all
Or
of that
acceptance.
stuff. Yeah, I can do all of that stuff. It doesn't mean I have to continue. I've got some of my best mates that I will say that I would go to war with any one of these guys that I've grown up with, but I don't hang out with them.
Yep.
I don't hang out with them. If my worth in anyone's life is about how much time I spend with them, then I don't think I'm that worthy. I don't think so. Some of my best friendships I don't see.
That was belief number one.
So, if I'm not getting what I need from a certain group, we talked about proximity is power with Sam, right? If I'm not getting something to allow me to operate at the level I need to operate at, then I've got to cut that. I don't spend a lot of time with my family. Why? Because they don't think the same way I do. I love them to death and I'll go to war with them. But I don't spend a lot of time with them.
We've all got that, right? I mean, I've done that. What you're saying right there, I can pinpoint 3 to 5 to 7 times in my life that I've made a very conscious decision to completely quit and move on from, say, a sport and a sporting club and a culture, or move away from certain elements of family or certain groups of friends, because and that's where I think, to tie business back in, where business can be a bit of a lonely place, even though there's always people around and there's always things that are going on, because you have to continually change who you are, and divides constantly get wider and wider with different people who are in your life, B, often important to you. But I agree with you. There's a lot of people that if I got a phone call, 99.99% of things that I would be doing would not be as important as if they needed something right now. And I might not have spoken to them for months, maybe even years sometimes, but I don't spend day-to-day time with them. But they are there and they are important. And they're the decisions that you have to make. And I guess the sacrifices you make at times when you have that faith and you're following in on the beliefs that you have at the time and taking that action that you believe you should be taking. It doesn't take away from that person's value, worth, or it just takes. It's just you can't let them take your time away from what you believe you should be doing, because then you will end up in a frustrated, angry type state. That's what's manifesting, because you're still allowing that time in places where it's not necessarily, or where you're currently not feeling alignment. So either you need to explore that and work out why you value that and what that brings to you, or you need to make some decisions.
Yeah.
Has anyone else felt that in their life, where they've had to part from groups of people or groups of family or other aspects to, or at least divide their time away because of the influence?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I grew up down in Rocco, Rockingham. For anyone who's not familiar with that, that's
The most bogan
Swinging pig.
yeah.
place in Australia, isn't it?
Actually, it was
Swinging pig.
voted or officially one of the most bogan places in Australia a few years ago or something. And I was hanging out. I'd always been quite. I guess there's that faith component. I'd always had this feeling that I'd be doing something different, and I wasn't a part of that group and all those individuals. But that sense of belonging. You kind of fall into these ruts and doing these things, and the only way I could kind of, I guess, my willpower at the time, like I was still doing things, but my willpower at the time wasn't strong enough to just fall back into bad habits. And what I had to do was completely move. So I moved up to the city, in
Big
Perth.
smoke.
Huh?
The big smoke. Actually, there's probably more smoke near you.
Yeah, probably.
You're in the little smoke.
To completely disassociate. And then, I didn't really hang out. I don't hang out with anyone really from high school anymore or anything like that. I've got a couple of good mates again who will catch up as if we were hanging out 10 years ago.
There's no skipped beat, right?
No, exactly. They're going on with their life and doing things. And same with my family too, it's very much the same. Kind of grow apart, I guess. And I've even had that with staff most recently. In building a business and building my team, I have had staff who just, unfortunately, it's just fine. It is what it is. That haven't grown or come to the caliber of that growth. My life is pretty short, been pretty basic, but the one time was moving away from, I guess, that situation, changing that environment was key. And I think there's a lot of beliefs there, and I guess you got to have faith. Like moving away from somewhere, that's that faith component, right? That it's all going to work out.
Well, you're moving towards something you don't know.
Anyone else?
Trav did.
You stop wearing those suits?
I can tell you my biggest self journey story. I was 21. My parents just split up. One of my best mates just died. I was in Kununurra for work. Very, very spiritual place. If you ever want to go and get in touch with yourself.
Beautiful place.
Chicken treat.
And I had a conversation with a lady who turned out to be a great friend of mine. Later on, and from that point on, I decided to rid myself of every piece of negative energy in my life. And from doing that definitely set me on the path and journey I am on now. I'm not saying like I got rid of my family out of my life or got rid of my friends, but I just chose where I spent my time, and I think that was a big determining factor in who I became in from the day after to what's that, 8 years, or no, 7 or 8 years since then. So some people have big things happen in their life that promotes that change. Some people don't, and that's okay. It can just be that mental shift, or it can just be wanting to wake up feeling better every day. If you're waking up feeling like shit, you're asking yourself, well, why am I? And really reflecting on that, and then understanding why, and then making the change to go on that.
It's making the decision, and then like having the commitment to follow through with that decision as well.
Absolutely.
Like even if I was trying to connect that back to why did I move? Well, I made the decision, it's going to happen, and I made a commitment to that, which is pretty much the formula that you got here, Jacob. And I mean, Trav, like with removing the negativity, was that an ongoing kind of like practice then, or
Still is today.
yeah?
You still find yourself fall into that negativity a little bit, but then you kind of realise, and upon reflection, every day, every week, every month, you understand where you want to be and who you want to be.
So looping it back to what we're talking about, like for yourself as well, like your belief structure of what was possible, what was doable, and what was life all about, how is that relationship then versus now?
I guess I had no idea what it was then, but now I have a little bit more better of an idea. I guess when you're that age, I was 20, 21, I had no idea who I was to start off with. But tying it back to beliefs, I don't know, like you're saying, Conrad, your beliefs are set in stone from 0 to 8. I guess I just figured out what my beliefs were and understand them a little bit better.
Yeah.
How did you do it? Like, how did you go about? So clearly at that time, you probably had less awareness as you would now, right? So how did you go about that? And I'm sure there's probably people listening in a similar space, and they know they feel like they need to make some changes and remove some of that negative influence in their life. What did you do at that time? Like, not what you academically respond to now, but what did you do then?
I'm a very big energy person, and I believe that you only have so much good energy to give out, and you can only take so much negative. But I still believe you've got to take negative energy within your day. I think that's a big part of the day, about serving for other people. So that's the one thing I changed, was that no matter what I was doing, I was going to give out good energy. No matter who I was talking to, what I was doing. If I was hanging out with those friends and all they gave me was negative energy, I was going to distance myself from them. So that was the one component that I actively changed within myself, and that really set me on the path of kind of what I was doing. I saw better results in what I was doing in business. I saw better results in sport, all that sort of stuff, just from that one little mental change, from an energy standpoint, and that ties into proximity is power. Obviously, then you're surrounding yourself with better people, and you're eating healthier, and you're not going out and getting drunk every weekend and feeling like shit on a Sunday and that sort of stuff. So, to answer your question, Matt, that's probably the one thing that I actively changed knowingly. I probably changed a hell of a lot more unknowingly, but yeah, that was the one thing that I sort of flicked, and I was like, all right, let's do this.
Cool.
Because I think that was, Conrad, you had like an opener, which is like, how do you teach faith? And how would you inspire, like, because it's not something, you go through school, all of that, and like 17, 18, and I guess, even then talking, even to the older generations, the beliefs are so ingrained as well that, which makes it hard for change. But even the younger ones come through with certain beliefs that are going to limit them, and not until, I guess, you have I think like you said, Haydo, with a lot of people, unless there's like a large moment most people don't do anything about those beliefs, and they hold them back, and they believe X, Y, and Z. So how do you?
It depends, and even those large moments don't necessarily they aren't catastrophic enough in some respects.
That's true.
So death of a family member or a friend or whatever, that can be monumental, as it was in my case and Trav's case. But it's not always the case, right?
So how do you?
There's got to be
cultivate it?
there's got to be a desire to have what you don't already have, right? And the desire's going to be bigger than hanging on to the bullshit you already got. It has to be bigger. If you want something you don't have, you've got to do things you haven't done. So, again, make a decision, follow it up with action, rinse and repeat.
And have faith.
And have faith. Well, I think we'll wrap it up, fellas, hey?
Yeah, can you fucking wrap up that beer too? That was shit.
Don't taste it
Mate,
now, it'll be warm.
You need to drink that.
I have
The whole
faith
point of
that
this-
that company is fucking terrible.
Well, I had a cheeky
No, that's a
monkey.
belief.
It was fantastic.
Yeah, I got a cheeky monkey as well. I
round-
just left that there.
Round 2 was a Cheeky Monkey West Coast IPA for...
Thank you, Cheeky Monkey, because
four of us.
you've returned my mouth back to normality.
The A&W
Take this
root
to your-
beer made with aged vanilla was a very
Take this to your game and just throw it on your mates.
was a very interesting
It'd be like
experience.
rubbing them down with Denker up.
Well, it's funny that on the root beer it says naturally and artificially flavoured. Clearly, they just poured a bit of Listerine in there.
That was the natural part.
It's the byproduct of Listerine. And on that note, fellas, enjoy your weekend.
Champagne.
Those listening, jump on board, leave us a comment. There's going to be some videos coming up soon, so you'll enjoy those as well. But
Any
until next
comments?
time.
I even like the abusive ones. That was funny, whoever left that funny abusive comment.
Which one?
The one you circulated.
That was good, yeah.
Okay.
The dagger.
That was probably me.
knife.
Until next time.
Go Broncos.
Champagne again.
Bye-bye.
Ciao.
Go Broncos.